Welcome to another episode of the Bug Bite hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we're engineered to win. Today, I want to go over this article that I saw on Medium that is talking about how an empty S3 bucket can make your AWS bill explode. We always have to be very, very careful with how we use our cloud technologies because unknowingly the price can just skyrocket and then you have to try to get your money back. And who knows, you got to be very, very careful. So when I saw this title, I was really, really intrigued to see what happened and what caused it and how we can be safe and how we can prevent this. All right. So this was actually published on April 29th, 2024. And it was written by Masaj Weers. I tried. All right. But that's fine. And they recently had an update of it on July 5th, 2024. Right. So let's see on May 5th or May 7th. I'm reading it as in they write it in the US, but it's not even, when I'm recording this video, it's not even July 5th yet. So this was updated on May 7th, 2024. So let's see what's going on. And they said that the S3 team is working on a fix and they have a link to a Twitter post, but let's see what's going on. All right. So imagine you create an empty private AWS S3 bucket in a region of your preference. What will your AWS bill be the next morning? So I would assume that it should be nothing because there's nothing in there. It's a private AWS S3, right? So let's see what happens. A few weeks ago, I began working on a proof of concept of a document indexing system for my client. I created a single S3 bucket in the EU West 1 region and uploaded some files there for testing. 2 days later, I checked my AWS billing page primarily to make sure that I was doing well within the free tier limits. Apparently, it wasn't. What in the world is going on here? My bill was over $1,300, with the billing console showing nearly 100 million, yes, 100 million S3 put requests executed within just 1 day. And here they have a picture of the request. We have over here around April 6th. So where were these requests coming from? By default, AWS doesn't log requests executed against your S3 bucket. However, such logs can be enabled using CloudTrail or S3 server access logging. After enabling CloudTrail logs, I immediately observed thousands of write requests originating from multi-account or entirely outside of AWS. But why would some parties bombard my S3 bucket with unauthorized requests? Was it some kind of DDoS attack? Some DDoS-like attack against my account? Against AWS? As it turns out, one of the popular open source tools had a default configuration to store their backups in S3. And as a placeholder for a bucket name, they used the same name I used for my bucket. This meant that every deployment of this tool with default configuration values attempted to store its backup in my S3 bucket. So note, I can't disclose the name of the tool I'm referring to as that would put the impacted company at risk of data leak. All right, so a horde of misconfigured systems is attempting to store their data in my private S3 bucket, but why should I be the one paying for this mistake? So let's find out because we want to know, right? S3 charges you for unauthorized incoming requests. This was confirmed in my exchange with AWS as they wrote, yes, S3 charges for unauthorized 400, like errors in the 400 range as well. That's expected behavior. Why though? That's weird. So if I were to open my terminal and type AWS S3 copy this file.txt to your bucket URL /random key, I would receive an access denied error, but you would be the one to pay for that request. And I don't even need an AWS account to do so. What? This is absolutely crazy. This is all right. I am very, very confused about what's going on here. So another question was bugging me. Why was over half of my bill coming from the US East 1 region? I didn't have a single bucket there. The answer to that is that the S3 request without a region specified a specified region defaults to US East 1 and are redirected as needed. And if the bucket owner pays extra for that redirected request, and the bucket owner pays extra for that redirect request. So let's understand the security aspect of this, right? We now understand why the S3 bucket was bombarded with millions upon millions of requests and why I ended up with a huge S3 bill. At that point, I had one more idea I wanted to explore. If all those misconfigured systems were attempting to back up their data into my S3 bucket, why not just let them do so? I opened my bucket for public rights and collected over 10 gigs of data within less than 30 seconds. Within less than 30 seconds. It's crazy. I'm like so shocked by what I'm reading right here. Of course, I can't disclose whose data it was, but it left me amazed at how an innocent configuration oversight could lead to a dangerous data leak. Not only a dangerous data leak, right? But also you getting charged so much. You know, and when we think about, because this tool or software they're talking about must be being used in production. So what if I don't know if S3, if you see, not every S3 account is going to be unique. So I don't know. This I'm interested to know how they got, what this person's S3 bucket name was for it to be able to do that, right? So what did I learn from all of this? Right. So lesson 1: anyone who knows the name of any of your S3 buckets can ramp up your AWS bill your AWS bill as they like. Other than deleting the bucket, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. You can't protect your bucket with services like services like CloudFront or WAF when it's being accessed directly through the S3 API. Standard S3 put requests are priced at just 0.005 per 1,000 requests, but a single machine can easily execute thousands of such requests per second. Craziness. So I'm gonna have to go into my S3 and make sure, and probably just in case I ever shared the name of S3 bucket, I'm gonna have to go rename them or something, because this is absolute craziness that people can just flood your S3 with different requests, and then now you are held liable for it. You know, so that's pretty crazy. That is totally crazy. All right. So let's see what else we got. So lesson 2. Lesson 2. This practice reduces vulnerability to misconfigured systems or intentional attacks. So adding a random suffix to your bucket name can enhance security. Okay, makes sense. You gotta add something that's gonna make it stand out, be very, very unique. This practice reduces vulnerability to misconfigured systems or intentional attacks, at least avoiding using short and common names for your S3 bucket. Lesson 3: when executing a lot of requests to S3, make sure to explicitly specify the AWS region. This way, you will avoid additional cost of S3 APIs redirects, right? So what is the aftermath about all of this that happened, right? I reported my findings to the maintainers of the vulnerable open source tool. They quickly fixed the default configuration, although they can't fix the existing deployments. I notified the AWS security team. They suggested that they restrict the unfortunate S3 bucket name to protect their customers from unexpected charges and to protect the impacted companies from data leaks. But they were unwilling to address the misconfiguration of third-party products. Ooh, I don't like that. Because what I'm thinking about is if it is not if somebody puts in the wrong S3, why are you being held liable for all the data that's trying to hit your bucket? I don't see why we should be held liable for that. But I guess I don't know. Because I guess the same thing if you hit an API, but you have, you say you keep repetitively hitting an API, but the API has, it has authentication and they're not getting it right. But being that there's traffic going to that API, So I don't know, because you see, at least with the API, you can build in some rate limiting and stuff like that. You can't really do that with S3 because it's just a direct hit to it. So I don't know. I don't know. This is I'm bothered. I'm really bothered by this, right? So I reported the issue to two companies whose data I found in my bucket. Jesus Christ. They did not respond to my emails, possibly considering them as spam. Oh my goodness. AWS was kind enough to cancel my S3 bill. However, they emphasized this was done as an exception. Bruh. I don't get it. You know what? My guy Ferris might be right. It might be time to switch over to Azure, because if we have to check the case on Azure about this, because if your S3 bucket is so vulnerable, like you have to protect your S3 bucket names like it is wherever they store all the gold and all the money and stuff. What is it called? Fort Knox or something? I don't know the name of it. But wherever that is, we need to protect it like that. Because if they can easily get us like that, they're gonna have us going out like Willy Lump Lump. Nope, not happening. So thank you for your time for reading my post. I hope it will help you steer clear of unexpected AWS charges. I am so thankful to the author of this post. I did not know that this could happen. So we really, I'm gonna go and check my AWS right after this, because this is so crazy that a simple bucket name being hit, even if incorrectly, it's going to spur up your charges like crazy. You can go to 1,200 charges, and that's going to be daily, because as much as that application is used, you are going and this now hackers might try to find the names of S3 buckets to try to capture this data. So I really wonder what kind of generic name this person had for their S3 bucket, because this is absolutely wild. All right, this is so wild. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Bug Bite. Hopefully you found it helpful and informative. If you haven't done so already, do me a big favor, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and as well, go over to the Patreon, www.techcoachralph.dev. Sign up for membership there. So much exclusive content, office hours, live trainings, as well as getting access to one-on-one coaching where we can run it up together. But on that note, this is Tech Coach Ralph, and we are out.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.